Clayton's request or question as to where Madison County rates now and where we've been and where we're going. Right now we're at 95.23, which is still probably going to put us, my guess, somewhere in the bottom 40% of counties, which is a dramatic improvement from where we were 4 years ago. And I think that what you would see is a steady progression each year. And 98% is certainly attainable. There are counties their size in the state who, with concentrated efforts over a period of time, reach that 98%. You do not go from 90% to 98% in a short period of time. That's practically impossible because it's just a change in the enforcement attitude of the particular county that you're dealing with. And you've had a consistency over the last 3 years in trying to enforce your tax collection rate. And I think the 95.23 where you are now is just a steady step in that progression. And as long as we keep going and don't regress, then we'll make progress toward that 98%. What you have in front of you and what you have seen in these regular reports for the last 4 months that we've been doing are those incremental steps toward that progress. If you look at this month's report, you'll see that the tax office has referred 15 new files to me for collection. The second category is going to show, since we started that probably 5 months ago, we're along the process to where there's going to be 5 of those cases that are going to appear in your newspaper before next month that are going to be moving towards sale. Since last month, we have filed, you'll see there, 12 new foreclosures. And since last month, this list will show that of those enforcement efforts, 5 of those folks have paid since last month. Now, you know, what's been paid? You know, you could have 5 accounts that are paid and they could be $1,000. So, you know, 5 accounts, $1,000 each, you're really not collecting that much money. I took a few minutes before I stood up here to go over and see the amount of the accounts that were paid. And I'm not talking about any fees or costs. These are just pure taxes. One account was $10,600. One account was $6,866. One account was $6,872. One account was $6,060. Then there was one small account of $1,570. Now, that small account was one where the taxes were only due for a few years, but it happened to fall into one of the subdivisions that had many lots in it that we were attempting to all move at the same time. This one lot owner decided that he didn't want his lot sold together with everybody else, and he came in and paid. So by my figures, that's about $32,000 that was paid since last month. Now, not that we're going to reach that, but I think somewhere in that, if you'll go back to last month's, my recollection is that last month's collection rate was around $28,000. So if you can spread that over a 12-month period, you may be looking at the neighborhood of $350,000. Now, I don't want Mr. Gilliam to get too excited, and I don't think that he will, but I think that amount would exceed what was budgeted. But, you know, if you can get that, that's going to be a little bit of gravy that might be left over. And then there is one that we had, I don't know if they actually went in and paid today. We had an attorney that was involved in a 6 case. His office called me yesterday morning, said, I have a blank check in my office. How much are your taxes? So we'll get another $9,200, and they're just going to write that check and take it down. That'll be on next month's, but that's a good start for next month. So, we're trying to keep just a steady flow. If Lori can keep supplying me the 12 to 18 each month, then we file those. If we can get half of those to pay each month, that's great. The other half will go on to foreclosure, and hopefully with a little bit more prodding, they'll pay somewhere along the line. So, that's very good progress in my opinion. And then these efforts, they're not just to collect the back taxes. Folks will know that you are putting forth the effort to collect the taxes. And when that happens, they'll think, we better pay ours. Otherwise, if we don't pay them, their name's going to appear on that list. That's going to come to the attorney. That's going to be discussed each month. And when that happens, not only are we going to have to pay your taxes, but we're going to fall into that category of, unfortunately, having to pay the attorney's costs and the other costs that are related to it. Okay? So, you have any questions on that?
I appreciate all your hard work you've done on this.
Thank you.
Both of you. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you very much. Forrest? I think yours has been, yours has been a closed session.
Just as an update, the jail has been sold and closing's over, and we have that $99,800 in hand now. So that is good news. The courthouse, there are some pictures in your packet of the status of the place last Wednesday or Thursday. All of the lighting fixtures have been installed. Paint is finished in 2 rooms. The smallest room needs another coat of paint. Floors need to be sanded and finished. And the electrical is supposed to be switched over to that new panel box tomorrow morning, pending the trial schedule. Which I don't know how that may be delayed from what we're hearing. So with the work on the boiler and the workaround on that delayed us, the contract end date is August 25th. So we should be moving toward that. But you can see those pictures. Looks very good. The trim, everything in there. If you haven't had a chance to just stick your head in, it looks really good and shows good work that's been done and a lot of work that needs to be done on the rest of the building moving forward. But that is moving along. You'll also see pictures of the animal shelter parking lot that was fixed by maintenance last week. You used to be able to fit about 3 or 4 cars in their parking lot, and everybody had to park coming up and down the hill. They're planning and raising money for an addition to the building that will take part of that parking lot, and maintenance just dug out a spot. You can now fit about 10 cars in there if it's really needed, whether the addition's there or not. But that was just finished last week. And then you will see pictures of Barnard Park project that has been completed there with grant funds from Pigeon River Fund, as well as FEMA money from the 2013 floods. The FEMA money was covering repair of the gravel ramps, but FEMA was okay with using additional money to build something better, as long as it was county money or another source of funds. County at that time applied for Pigeon River grant, and it included a plan to do matching from the county and put in about $50,000 in county dollars to build 5 concrete ramps. Since that county match was never approved and wasn't really feasible with our financial condition, just with the grant money and the FEMA money, 2 concrete ramps. Sarah Nichols has overseen all of this very capably in the last several months. And I know that she has made sure it stayed in budget and is working on some of the finishing things that aren't covered by the grant that come in with some money that comes from the rafting companies and others to make sure that that's in good shape. But 2 ramps turned out well because the concrete works better for some uses and gravel works better for others. We're getting more individuals who are out there getting in with concrete, and the rafting companies continuing to use preferring gravel or having to use a different method on the concrete. So that is finished, and next few months when a little bit more money comes available, it's in our budget to finish up with a few little landscaping things and re-graveling that we always have to do. It's going to be looking even better. Any questions on any of those construction issues? You will have, Darlyne will cover the year-end budget amendment in her section, but I did want to say to you when we get there, well, I'll tell you now, but our budget at the end of the year for last year for 15-16, excluding the use of 4042 funds, which was restricted money and used for school construction purposes, we ended up spending at least $106,000 less than what we budgeted. And then when you look at grant funds and other sources that made that number go up because we've got revenue coming in and expenses going out with those grants, it's probably closer to 200, a little more than 200 that we spent. That's less, which is good news because our initial budget for last year included $401,000 for fund balance. And as of right now, the estimate is we'll only have to use $90,000. So that is very good, and that changes our year-end number for what's available in fund balance and raises the percentage that's of our net expenditures that is available in that. Our savings account will not shrink as much, and my guess is really even your final budget amendment, there are still some things that come through sales tax and things we're estimating. I'm actually optimistic that we may not take anything from fund balance, but we absolutely won't know that for a few months. So that's great work on the part of our departments to keep all that in line and much improved over where we have been. And if you look at, we only budgeted 150 from fund balance this year. That shows that we can probably definitely eliminate that as the year goes on, which is definitely, we always want to spend less than we bring in so we can put a little back and then have that when needed and make adjustments if it's consistent. The Commerce Fellows Grant that Ryan Cody presented to you all back in May, I believe, had a public hearing. That was awarded. That's $50,000 that pays for training courses for county employees, municipal employees, elected and appointed board members. That gives us 8 slots in-person trainings provided by the School of Government in courses such as effective supervisory management, municipal and county administration, and development finance. It also covers registration costs for on-demand webinars that we can host in the county and invite anybody. So that can be planning and development regulations, human capital, open meetings law, and public records law. So a few of those we'll definitely plan to have all of our department heads, invite town people, invite some of our board chairs or secretaries to really try and gain that understanding. Those courses can all be offered over the next year, and we'll be getting the final paperwork signed on that in the next couple of weeks. So that's all that I have. Are there any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Forrest. Okay, Darlyne.
Okay, you have in your packets the financial report for the month of July. At this point, we should be 8.33%. Some departments will be more because we pay our workers' comp up front in order to save several $1,000s. So you might see some of those, but that could be pretty high for it. Anyone have any questions?
I don't have any. Does the board have any questions? No?
Currently, the 4042 number on page 3. That's showing under the unrestricted column. Is that unrestricted? Or I thought that was restricted money.
I may just put it in the wrong line, but it is restricted.
Okay,
That's what we owe to the schools today.
so that should move over to the other one, to the other column.
Well, actually, what I'm doing there is just taking that off of the money because it's in our general fund.
Uh-huh,
So so I have to subtract it from that line. It is restricted money, but I've got it in the general fund line.
okay.
It is where it needs to be. I can just put, I'll just type beside it each month's restricted, so but it is on the right column.
Any questions? Darlyne?
The next thing I have is the 2015-16 budget ordinance. And I think Forrest covered it pretty well there. In the general fund, we budgeted $22,218,191. We ended up actually $22,621,316.97. Behind the amended budget, you will see explanations. I took it by each department and did whether we were over or under, and show the savings by each category breakdown. Also behind that was a category breakdown that gave a description of, say, the current year's property taxes. We increased from the adopted budget by $207,031. So I did each item like that. I'm not sure what you want me to explain to you other than that, except that on page, it'd be your third page, and it starts with section 7 at the top. When you go down to the section 10, occupancy tax, we need to change, mark out the fund balance line, and I'm moving that money up into the occupancy tax. So that line will be $259,620, and that would be the only correction to this. The savings and ending up in a good shape like we did due to the department's oversight and Forrest watching the budgets as well.
Any more questions for Darlyne on our discussion for the 2015,
I tried to cover each line or each department so that to give you a short answer.
J.E. Green, that's one of the contractors on the, J.E. Green, that's one of the contractors in the school.
It is, that's correct.
They have a contract for the early college.
Early college, yes. That money, we paid the invoices out first, then I sent them to BB&T, and we're reimbursed within a week.
Do we still have any more money expected from state foster care? I know this is a deficit in that account. I know that's a DSS question,
DSS.
so,
We're not expecting any more.
and the same would be true for public safety.
Is that in the sheriff's, that's the sheriff's department and all those? No.
Okay.
We're not expecting. And the reason that is showing the big amount is because it's an audit requirement that any comp time, things like that has to be budgeted in. That money has not been spent, but it has to be in the
But it
budget
reflects in the budget.
yes, in order to keep from having budget violations.
We had that discussion before.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
any more questions or comments for Darlyne on the 2015, 16 Amended budget ordinance.
Appreciate all the hard work.
It's, well, it's due to all the departments and the Forrest's help. We've been able to really go with it down this year.
I would like to point out that, that 2 or 3 pages from the end, an increase of funds going to the schools, if I'm reading this correct, Darlene, of an additional $509,000. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, $509,467. That's all 4042 funds though.
Did we have any, this month, invoices, and I don't know if it would show here or for us, but did we have any, money that was paid for comp time?
Comp time.
Did we write any checks this month to any
You wouldn't
employees?
send through that. If you pay out comp time, it goes through payroll. This is just accounts payable.
Okay, so did we have any,
Hey, I would have to get with Marla to get the list because we pay out people some comp time. But when people leave, we definitely have to pay out them.
right, I understand that.
Yes.
Okay.
But I can provide a list if you'd like that,
That'd be great.
but it'd be through payroll.
Do we know what that number is,
No, I don't.
Roughly.
I don't know,
comp time?
because I don't know who else is paid out.
No, I know there was one in June that was paid out some before the end of the budget year. I think that was around 10,000, something like that. But I don't know the balance right now. We got to pay it.
Do we know how the auditors are gonna treat that? I think in the past, they haven't shown that.
Yeah, it showed under compensated compensated absence and stuff. It is in there.
Is it?
Yes. It is in there.
All right. Any more comments, questions for Darlene? Do I hear a motion to approve 2015, 2016 amended budget ordinance?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion for Commissioner Gentry for the 2015-16 amended budget ordinance, second by Commissioner Rice. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise.
Next, you have the July property tax releases and refunds. And it appears to be that most of those are disposal fees.
Who approves those? I noticed it says, I can find it, for solid waste. Who is our approval person on that? Who's giving the check off on that this bill should be released?
Ordinarily, it is the director, and currently it is someone in the office.
Okay.
And ordinarily, what is someone in the office effectively does 90% of them.
Right.
And if there are issues, we go to the director.
Okay.
So, and it's based on interpretation before that if there's no power, then something is.
Any questions, discussion? Do I hear a motion to approve the July property tax releases and refunds?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve July property tax releases by Commissioner Rice, second by Commissioner Briggs. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise.
Okay, the next item is 4 vacancies. The first one is Mount Area Workforce Development Board. Sam Hutchins is serving on that now, and he is willing to continue to serve.
As you look at these boards, we will do each area, we will do each department at the same time. So
Mr.
at this,
Chairman, I'm sorry, excuse me.
go ahead.
On the second one, Ms. Rice
Yes.
was actually on there for 3 years, but she actually has to do it a year at a time. Am I saying that right, Forrest? So she really doesn't need to be on this list.
She don't need to be on
No.
that.
Okay.
So we just need to do the first one.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have the Mountain Area Workforce Development Board.
That's
At
correct.
this time, I will open the floor for nominations for the Mountain Area Workforce Development Board.
Mr. Chairman, I would nominate Mr. Sam Hutchins.
Okay, we have a nomination of Mr. Sam Hutchins. Any more nominations? If there are no more nominations, at this time, I will close the nominations for the Mountain Area Workforce Development Board. We have a nomination of Sam Hutchins for Mountain Area Workforce Development. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like that. Okay,
That's all I have. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Darlyne.
All right. At this time, do I hear a motion to go into closed session for the General Statute 143.318.11, which will be attorney-client privilege, employee, and real estate?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
All right, we have a motion for closed session by Commissioner Gentry, second by Commissioner Rice. All those in favor, raise your right hand. We are in closed session. All those opposed? Oh, that's quick, isn't it?
That was great. I saw that agenda and I said, oh, this one's gonna be effective. And without Matt,